Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. Game 1 of the Aces Liberty matchup on Sunday drew an average of 929,000 viewers. Was down nearly 50% from last Sunday's Fever Sun contest.
Two of the premier teams in the league drew an audience of 929,000, according to ESPN. The numbers were nowhere near what they were with Caitlin Clark. That is 50% less.
Following Caitlin Clark's exit from the WNBA playoffs, emotions are running high among players, many of whom are visibly upset. They feel that fans have turned against them, particularly because viewership numbers have dropped significantly during the playoffs.
So it's not about Caitlin Clark not being in the finals or being in the finals. It's the fact that Caitlin Clark is in the league that is allowing other teams to still have these pretty decent ratings in the finals.
Recent statistics from the semi-finals show concerning trends for the league, and the impact of Clark's departure is evident. Her exit, which involved some controversial foul calls, has left the WNBA struggling to maintain momentum and fan engagement.
The ratings, I believe 2 Sundays ago with Caitlin Clark, she drew 1.8 million viewers on an NFL Sunday. This past NFL Sunday, A'ja Wilson drew 900,000.
Indeed, the WNBA has seen its viewership cut in half since Caitlin Clark's elimination, and the outlook appears grim as the playoffs progress. As the league grapples with the fallout from her departure, concerns about dwindling fan interest continue to grow, raising questions about the future of the playoffs and the overall popularity of the league.
Do you want me to just say I told you so, or are you willing to say, Stephen A., you did tell us? Really? Caitlin Clark is the golden goose?
It raises a serious question. What kind of sport allows its top players to be mistreated throughout the season, denies the Indiana Fever the chance to host a playoff game, and then watches as viewership declines after every game?
Caitlin Clark should be getting so much more credit, but unfortunately there are still haters who are trying to bring her down.
This situation highlights significant issues within the league and calls for a re-evaluation of how players are treated and how the playoffs are structured.
This actually needs to be studied. What other sports league has diminishing ratings as you get closer to the championship? That would actually embolden the argument that there's a certain guard that now plays in Indiana truly should be the logo.
The WNBA stands out as the only league where teams progress to the finals while interest seems to wane with each game. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is heading to Europe, where she's expected to take a break. However, there are whispers that she might be lured by a lucrative offer from the EuroLeague, which could further impact her future in the WNBA.
I feel like there could be a team overseas who would love to snatch Caitlin Clark away from us and give her a crazy offer. I mean, Ice Cube was about to give her $5 million to play in less than 10 games in the Big Three.
It's hard to fault Caitlin Clark if she decides to make a move. She could earn 10 times her current salary and receive the treatment she deserves. To add insult to injury, the WNBA even jeopardized her chance to win the unanimous Rookie of the Year award, with one voter inexplicably casting their vote for Angel Reese. That voter should be held accountable and exposed for their choice, as it undermines the integrity of the award.
It should have been unanimous, and one of the things that sticks with me is, well, she was the first rookie to get a triple-double. Right. You think of the greats that came into this league that hadn't been able to really make that happen.
Viewership is plummeting by the minute, and the WNBA is experiencing the full impact of what's being called the Caitlin Clark effect. Many players feel that fans are primarily interested in watching Clark, and they might be right. A'ja Wilson expressed her frustration over fans labeling her game as boring, stating, "This year is the most I've heard anyone call my game boring." Despite being named MVP, A'ja is clearly upset about the declining audience, especially since she hasn't had the same influence on the league as Caitlin Clark has.
A'ja Wilson, 28 years old, 1,000 points in the regular season. Why is that not the biggest story out at the moment? Exactly. Why are we talking about Caitlin Clark?
Why exactly? Why when A'ja was releasing a shoe were we talking about Caitlin?
The impact of Caitlin Clark's absence from the WNBA playoffs goes far beyond just the declining viewership numbers. It reveals a significant issue within the league, the vulnerability of its audience, and how heavily it relied on a single player to maintain its recent momentum. Caitlin Clark was the spark that drew attention not only to the Indiana Fever, but to the entire league. Following the Fever's loss to the Connecticut Sun, which marked the end of Clark's rookie season, the drop in viewership was striking. More importantly, it underscored a troubling reality for the WNBA. Without its biggest star, the league struggles to engage and retain fans.
The WNBA has 18 games this season where they've had more than 1 million viewers average, and 16 of those 18 have featured Caitlin Clark. So you cannot deny the connectivity of Caitlin Clark playing basketball and people wanting to watch. If she's playing, they will come, they will watch the game.
There's nothing, Shannon. You just want to support that white girl. She busting y'all ass.
Viewership plummeted by over 50% following Caitlin Clark's exit from the playoffs, clearly indicating that her presence was crucial in attracting a significant portion of the league's audience. This decline cannot be overlooked or dismissed as a mere coincidence. The WNBA has depended heavily on Clark's star power to draw in viewers, and her absence has revealed the league's vulnerability and its struggle to retain that audience without her influence.
She should have been unanimous. Now to celebrate her, one thing that people forget is as a rookie, she was the most blitzed player in the WNBA, and she still put up 19, 5, and 8 assists, breaking, like you said, the assist record. To be able to do that as a rookie in the face of that much defensive pressure should have been unanimous.
Should have been. I agree.
This significant drop in viewership serves as a wake-up call for the WNBA. For years, the league has faced challenges with low ratings and attendance, but Caitlin Clark's breakout season appeared to provide a ray of hope. Her games regularly attracted record audiences, and for a time it seemed like the WNBA was finally making progress. However, with Clark now out of the picture, it's evident that the league's recent surge in popularity was not as stable as it initially appeared. Without Caitlin Clark in the playoffs, the WNBA has struggled to maintain high excitement levels. Fans who tuned in to watch her every move found little incentive to continue watching after her departure. While the remaining teams may still be competitive, they lack the star power and charisma that Clark brought to the court. As a result, there has been a noticeable decline in the overall buzz surrounding the playoffs.
There was a Jordan effect on the NBA and the game of basketball. I would argue at one point early on there was a Steph Curry effect on the NBA and on basketball also. You bet your ass there is a Caitlin Clark effect on all of basketball, and especially on women's basketball.
One of the most concerning elements of Caitlin Clark's playoff exit is how it unfolded. Throughout the season, Clark faced repeated fouls and physical play that often went unaddressed. Despite the WNBA's accolades for her talent, the league failed to protect her as a player of her caliber deserves. This wasn't merely about a few missed calls. It represented a persistent pattern of rough play that ultimately took a toll on Clark's body and contributed to her team's defeat.
It's an attack on Caitlin Clark.
I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base.
When it's not going well for you, claim racism.
You've got 14,000 followers on Twitter.
It's unacceptable, honestly.
Alyssa Thomas is probably not going to have to worry about.
Put your phone down. Don't download the apps. Don't engage.
The series against the Connecticut Sun exemplified this issue perfectly. Clark was subjected to hard fouls multiple times throughout the series, yet the referees appeared hesitant to make the calls. It felt as though the league didn't fully recognize the importance of protecting its star player. Fans watching at home were left frustrated as they saw Clark being knocked around the court with minimal intervention from the officials. This failure to protect Clark is not an isolated incident. It's indicative of a broader issue within the WNBA. For years, the league has grappled with inconsistent officiating, especially regarding physical play. However, when the player central to the league's resurgence is subjected to this kind of treatment, it becomes a much more significant concern. The WNBA cannot afford to allow its biggest star to be mistreated, particularly when her presence is vital to the league's success.
This is not a new thing. Sure. In that way, I do think Caitlin's being used as a pawn. Caitlin didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening. And that, I think, is what's been such a shock for all of us, that other people are surprised by this. We've been trying to tell you. And once again, for so long, as a player, I would almost joke. I'd be like, I would have loved to have shut up and dribble. In so many ways, I would have loved to have been valued as a basketball player, I would have been loved to have been spoken about just for my play. I think everybody in the league can say that. But nobody ever let us do that. So what happened? We started to build a backbone, a little bit of an identity. We understood that in order to push our league forward, we were going to have to combat these things. And then you know what else we learned? It feels good to stand up for yourself. It feels even better to stand up for others. We started to learn that people were learning from us and able to follow us in a different way. And who are we following? Black women. So that's such an important part. And I think, again, I get sad when I talk about this a little bit in that we're still not talking about basketball.
No.
We're still not allowed to be focused on for our basketball play. And it's not to say we're not going to continue to combat these things. That'll always exist, I think, in the fabric of our league. But we still aren't talking about basketball.
Caitlin Clark's breakout season was not just a personal achievement. It represented a significant opportunity for the WNBA to demonstrate its potential to a broader audience. Her games attracted viewers nationwide, many of whom had never tuned into a WNBA game before. This was a crucial moment for the league to leverage the excitement around Clark and cultivate a lasting fan base. However, by failing to protect her, the WNBA squandered that chance. Fans are acutely aware of what transpired. They witnessed how Clark was treated on the court, and many have expressed their frustration openly. Social media has been flooded with comments from fans who feel that the WNBA let Clark down by allowing her to be fouled repeatedly without proper officiating.
Very, very few people, but there are some out there who resent the fact that this young white girl came out there and did her thing. Rookie of the year, 4th in the league for MVP voting, assist leader, one of the top leading scorers after the Olympic Games. She put on a show.
This situation has fostered a rising sentiment that the league is not doing enough to protect its stars, which could have lasting repercussions for fan loyalty. The WNBA now finds itself in a precarious position. Caitlin Clark has already contributed more to the league in one season than many players do throughout their careers. However, if the league fails to take action to protect her and others like her, it risks losing the very stars who are essential for growing the game. This issue goes beyond simply winning games. It's about the long-term future of the league.
Number of viewers for WNBA games that Caitlin Clark is not in is like 3 to 4 million. When she's in the game, when it's her game playing, it's like 17 million.
Yeah. Well, I also look at the attendance in the arena.
Yes.
It's 8 to 10,000 everywhere else. Caitlin Clark, 17, 18,000.
As if Caitlin Clark's playoff exit wasn't already disappointing for fans, another controversy quickly emerged. Despite her record-breaking season and significant influence on the WNBA's growth, Clark did not receive unanimous Rookie of the Year honors, a shocking oversight given her impact both on the court and in terms of viewership. Clark's performances throughout the season were nothing short of extraordinary, yet one voter inexplicably chose to cast their ballot for another player, Angel Reese.
You are rooting against Caitlin Clark because you like another team, very few of them.
I'm excited
even if it's that.
I'm excited to see who it is.
And it wasn't just one triple-double. She had 2 on the season.
This is why we would love for the WNBA to make voting not anonymous. Because if you were the person that had that one vote, you should just be able to stand on it, and we should know who you are. In the NBA, voting is not anonymous. So I would love for the WNBA to make the voting so we see who put the votes where.
This decision left many fans outraged. How could anyone vote for someone other than Caitlin Clark? She had single-handedly raised the WNBA's profile and was a key driver of the league's increased popularity. The fact that she didn't receive unanimous Rookie of the Year honors felt like a slap in the face to both Clark and her supporters. To make matters worse, the WNBA has chosen not to disclose the identity of the lone voter who opted for Reese over Clark, keeping this individual anonymous. This lack of transparency has only intensified frustration among fans, many of whom feel that the league is failing to give Clark the recognition she rightfully deserves.
Who's the best player in the country?
To the media or me?
As you see it.
I feel like I'm the best player in the country.
The snub of Caitlin Clark for unanimous Rookie of the Year honors is more than just a fleeting controversy. It could have lasting repercussions on how fans view the WNBA. Clark did everything possible to elevate the league. Yet when it was time to acknowledge her achievements, she was denied the unanimous recognition she deserved. This has left many fans feeling disillusioned, as they believe the WNBA isn't fully appreciating what Clark has contributed to the league. The decision to award a vote to Angel Reese instead of Clark has ignited a debate about the integrity of the voting process.
My question is, who did it? Speak loud and clear, raise your hand, all that good stuff.
The Rookie of the Year snub is likely to serve as yet another source of motivation for Caitlin Clark. Having already demonstrated her ability to dominate the league on the court, this slight will only add fuel to her drive for future seasons. However, for the WNBA, this controversy has created a challenge that won't be easily resolved.
Basketball has really consumed my life for a year, so I feel like it'll be good for me to kind of reflect back on everything that's happened.
With Caitlin Clark taking a 200-day break from professional basketball, the WNBA is facing one of its toughest challenges yet. Over the next several months, the league will need to find ways to maintain fan interest without its biggest star on the court. While the WNBA enters its off-season, other basketball competitions will continue, making it a daunting task to keep fans engaged, especially given the significant drop in viewership following Clark's playoff exit. During this lengthy break, the WNBA must devise strategies to keep fans invested in the league. The reality is that without Clark, the WNBA faces an uphill battle. She was the league's most significant draw, and her absence leaves a void that will be hard to fill.
A rising tide lifts all boats. If folks were more receptive to it, more moments would have arrived. I still contend Caitlin Clark should have been on Team USA. Imagine the international, the global audience that would have followed her. But folks missed it because of feelings, not business.
If the WNBA hopes to keep Caitlin Clark in the long term, it must take immediate action to protect her on the court. The physical toll she endured throughout the 2024 season is unsustainable. And if the league doesn't respond quickly, it risks losing her to more lucrative opportunities, such as the EuroLeague, where players often receive higher salaries and better overall treatment. In recent years, the EuroLeague has become an increasingly attractive option for top basketball talent, offering not only better compensation, but also enhanced care for players. If Caitlin Clark were to pursue opportunities overseas, it would deal a devastating blow to the WNBA. The league cannot afford to lose a player of her caliber, especially after she has done so much to elevate its profile.
Somebody thinks Angel Reese was the Rookie of the Year? Fine. Maybe it's a writer who covered her team in Chicago. Okay. It's not the end of the world. Like, I don't know if Caitlin Clark's going to go, can you believe I didn't go unanimous? Now, I thought we would have unanimous MVP and unanimous Rookie of the Year.
To prevent this from happening, the WNBA must prioritize Caitlin Clark's safety and well-being. This entails ensuring that referees are diligent in calling fouls, protecting her from overly aggressive defenses, and making sure she is not subjected to the kind of rough play that contributed to her playoff exit. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA cannot be overstated. She has attracted new fans, boosted viewership, and given the league a level of attention it hasn't experienced in years. However, her absence has also revealed the WNBA's vulnerabilities, particularly its heavy reliance on a single player to maintain fan engagement.
But they don't want it to grow if it's certain people at the face. And there is still this undertone of jealousy that for some reason I cannot get around calling it anything else but that, because I don't know what else it could be. I thought it was going to get better this season, but it hasn't. There are still people who seemingly, to me, feel like they just don't want Caitlin to be a part of it.
The coming months will be crucial for the WNBA as it navigates the post-Clark era. The league must swiftly address the challenges highlighted by her absence, otherwise it risks losing the momentum it has painstakingly built. Moving forward, the WNBA needs to prioritize the protection of its stars, cultivate a broader pool of talent, and ensure that its audience remains engaged, even when its biggest star isn't on the court. Caitlin Clark is more than just a player. She represents the future of the WNBA. If the league aims to keep growing and attract new fans, it must acknowledge the immense value Clark brings and take decisive action to keep her involved. Ignoring the biases she faces could lead to the loss of not only her star power, but also the dedicated fan base that has come to support the league. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated.
Most points by a point guard in a season in WNBA history. Most double-doubles by a rookie guard in WNBA history. Most points by a rookie in WNBA history. Most assists by a rookie in the history of the WNBA. First WNBA rookie to record 2 triple-doubles. First triple-double by a rookie in WNBA history. First triple-double in Fever history. The first player to be named WNBA Player of the Month and Rookie of the Month in the same month. First player in WNBA history with 20 or more points, 15 or more assists, and 5 or more rebounds in a game. She won Rookie of the Month 4 times. Eastern Conference Player of the Week 3 times, single season rookie record for assists, single season rookie record for 3-pointers, single game record for assists, 19, franchise record for most double-doubles, 3-pointers, career 10 or more assists in a game, franchise record for most career 10 or more assists in a game. Fastest WNBA player to reach 100 3-pointers, she did it in 34 games, most assists by a rookie in a WNBA All-Star game for which she received the most fan votes ever, 700,000 of those. Fastest player to reach 350 points and 150 assists to start a season regardless of years in the league. People will say, pay more attention to the other folks. Like, she couldn't do it herself. You know, LeBron has teammates, Jordan had teammates. I understand.